right, so in this video, I wanted to talk about how to take out a piece of a design. You've got a picture and you want to eliminate some parts of it, okay? And so there's a lot of different options, a lot of things in Illustrator. There's lots of different ways to do any one thing. And so because it's good to have that flexibility. So depending on what you're trying to do, you have those options, okay? So on this, let me make that bigger. And we'll click on this to make that bigger. There we go. On this, first thing I have is a relatively new option that I've seen is crop. Okay, so if you're going to crop something, you can select the object and then you have a choice up here to go to crop image. That is, cropping something has been something that's existed in Photoshop for a long time. I haven't known it to be in Illustrator. I don't know when it was added, but hooray, it's there now. So when I click on crop image, make sure you have the thing selected, and then you can just drag in to be what you want it to be, okay? There is an option in Illustrator, in Photo, so if I go up here and just hit apply, right? But now when I go to crop the image, when I go back and look at it, see it's got pieces of the design saved. Yeah, just be careful with it because in the original, nope, yep. So in Photoshop, you do have a way that you can remember those pixels even after you've cropped it, and that option probably exists here. I'm just not sure where it is. So just make sure that when you crop things, depending on which way you're doing it, if you don't want to have those other pixels deleted forever, you might want to make a copy of it before you crop it, okay? One of my favorite ones that I use a whole lot is Draw Inside, okay? Draw Inside is an option where if you have an object, you can, you have the option as I'm drawing things. Let me just pull up my paintbrush tool here. I can draw, and I'm drawing that on top of that, right? But if you go down here, so go to my selection tool, click on that, so I've got it selected, and I go down here to the bottom of my toolbar, I have the option to do draw in front, which is normal, draw behind, or then I also have an option to do draw inside. So as I draw inside with my paintbrush, even though I'm making a lot of lines over here to the side, you're only going to see what is inside of that object, right? Now that other information that I had, it still exists. You can see it all the way over there. If I double click to go into the group, double click to go into the group, and then single click on what it is that I'm doing, I can move those pieces and then leave the group to be able to do that, okay? So the way we can apply this with trying to do the picture like we are, I can take my image here and Control C to copy it. It's now on my invisible clipboard, go to draw inside, and so now as I paste it, it will paste into the inside of that, okay? And I can move this little guy around, whatever I want to do, okay? And I can still resize it. I've got a lot of different options and things I can do. One of the nice things about this is when you do draw inside, it will maintain that outline, that stroke that you have if you have that. So it still remembers some of the information around that, which is different than the clipping mask option. Clipping mask option works like this. If I take an object and I put it on top of something, it's important that when you do this, the piece that you're using to cut out the design is on top. So I've got that selected, right-click, arrange, bring to top, bring to front, okay, or Control-Shift bracket is the shortcut for that. So I make sure this is on top where I want it to be, and then I'm going to select both of those things. I could either click and drag, and so when I let go, whatever's in that box is going to be selected, or I could click on the object and hold down Shift on the keyboard, and that would add to my selection. So now I have both of those things selected, and you do have an option to do right-click, make clipping mask, or you can also go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make, or Control-7 is the shortcut. Okay, clipping mask is a very common thing that you would use, and I'll show you another way that can be beneficial. It's a little more advanced on the clipping mask, okay? But you notice that I did not have, the previous version that I had those outlines on it, just like this one up here. But when I used the clipping mask, it forgot all other information. It doesn't remember what color it was. It doesn't remember that it had a black outline or any of that stuff. All it remembers is it's going to cut out this design, okay? So then my last thing that I have here, and I'm going to do kind of a quick version of this, is I could use the pen tool. So just like we used that just now, all right, let me flip this. Just like we used that earlier, but let's say that I want to cut this design out and I want to have a design with my tiger, and I'm being really kind of quick here just to kind of show you this if you want to have a conversation about the pen tool and ways that you can use it. I've made another video about that. This is where people usually say, I'm going to leave a link to that over here, and then I don't know how to do that yet. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. So I'm going to go around just a little bit quicker here. Oof, I don't like that. Control Z to go back. That's getting too much. And it's a little bit tricky with the fur, you know, so that's, and you guys have done stuff in Photoshop, know that there's ways that you can adjust how much is selected there. But this is way more of just a straight line all the way around. And I've now completed my shape, okay? So now I can flip this back so I can see what I'm doing. I now have a custom shape that cuts out around that. So just like I did earlier, I can select both of those, right-click, make clipping mask, and I have a custom cutout of my tiger, okay? So I'm trying to remove the background. I don't want to do image trace because I want to keep it as a photo, all right? I can either do a custom pen tool shape and use the clipping mask. I can use the clipping mask. I can do draw inside, or I could just crop the image, okay? And all of those things give you the same result, but different versions of the same result. So depending on the circumstances that you're using this would determine which one of those 4 things. And there's other options too, but those are just kind of the really 3 things, techniques that you could use.